sometimes things take a little longer. Hey guys, Deirdre here, All Things Art and Books. How you doing? Well, today's video is part one of a new acrylic project. I was actually hoping to have it done for this week, but it's part one because sometimes things take a little longer. I haven't thought of a name for this one yet, but it's two little sparrows. Now you'll see here that this one is literally sketched in very, very roughly. I've done practically no work on this little man at all. So, but I have been working, I don't know if you can see, on this one here. Now it's not, this particular bird hasn't been finished by any means, but I've kind of got it as far as I'm going to take it before starting work on this one, because if I need to balance, I need to work one part of a painting off another one, and if one gets too detailed without starting to work on the other section, then I get a wee bit unbalanced with the painting. Following now is the time lapse of the background and this bird. I sketched the birds very, 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 very loosely with charcoal. You'll actually see as you're watching the time lapse, the sketch wasn't quite right, which is okay. With acrylic you can just correct as you go, and this is what I had to do. With watercolour you have to be, your drawing has to be 100% before you start putting paint anywhere near it. This here, as I said, didn't matter so much with acrylic, because as long as the drawing was kind of there, I could work around it and start to correct it. And that's what you actually see that I did. I corrected as I went, the proportions of the bird. I had this, in fact, this little foot here, this little claw had to be done 3 times before I got it in the right position. That's great. Part 2 will be up next week. Don't know if there'll be a third part. Hopefully I'll get it finished next week. If not, it'll be well on the way. So anyway, I've talked enough. Enjoy the time lapse, guys. So just starting to apply acrylic paint directly to the canvas with very, very, very little water, and just trying to blend it and getting as smooth a blend as possible. I'm putting the paint directly on, and then I'm using a dry mop brush, actually a makeup brush, to blend it out and then leaving it to dry again. So this is my very, very, very rough sketch done with charcoal. As you can see, it is really, really rough, and the proportions of the right hand bird are not right at all, but I just got started. So again, just getting some basic tones in the right hand bird, some mid-tones, a few darks and a few lights, and getting the basic features in on the face. I find birds a lot harder to do than fur animals for some reason. It's all those feathers kind of overwhelm me a bit, so it's good practice for me to do this. The right hand bird still isn't, the proportions aren't right, the foot is in the wrong place, the body itself is a bit too short, but I correct this later on. As always, I like to try and get a little bit of detail in early on to sort of give me an anchor into the piece. So I'm working on the beak here with some small brushes just to get a little bit of colour, a little bit of detail in getting the shape of the beak right. Here I'm trying to correct a bit of the wing, it was too wide, and just doing this by applying white paint around the outside of it. Getting a little bit of detail in the eye. I love to get that in really, 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 really earlier on and just get that shine in the eye, that anchor for the bird, and then I feel that it's an actual animal, an actual creature, and I can work around that, and it brings the creature to life even very early on, even when you haven't got the detail in, just getting that eye detail in, I just feel it just makes it easier for me. Here, correcting the length of the body had been too short, so I'm bringing it down. Then I discover the foot isn't right, have to take that out, and also then the tail isn't right either, so I had to actually cut that out later on. Basically, the moral is I'm saying don't give up, especially with acrylic, because you can just keep correcting and correcting and correcting, and if it's still not right, correct it again. Just do another layer, another layer, another layer. With watercolor, as I say, your original drawing has to be spot on, but with acrylic you can just keep working and working and working until you get it right. So here I'm starting to change the shape of the tail. I'm going into the bottom of it with white paint and just correcting the shape, and then I can go over that white paint with other colours, but you just keep layering and layering and layering, as I say, with acrylic, and you can just correct your mistakes as you go. Some finer feather detail, and that is it for this week. Part 2 next week.